Okay, so what I've done is this is a pilot Helix implementation for RDP, or the remote desktop protocol. Basically, like what I have set up here is I have a little virtual computer that we're going to treat as like the sensitive resource or the interesting thing that we really want to safeguard our access to. But the way that I have this broken out is in two different like perspectives. So these top screens are like the perspective of like HR or your system administrator. Um, the bottom screen is the perspective of our worker that we're going to pick on. So Bear wants to participate in this video as well, but that's fine. So again, HR, system admin level, and then this is kind of like the employee level. So what I'm going to do is I've made this little icon here, and this is going to open the tunnel for me to get to that virtual computer, the interesting thing we want to protect. So the first thing that I have is that even to open the tunnel to get access to the interesting thing, I have a Helix notification that pops up to ensure that it's the right person on the right device getting access to the interesting thing. What you just saw is that now, from the employee's perspective, we've opened that tunnel so that they can enter their password to get access to the interesting, sensitive virtual computer. So you can see that I'm logging into that computer remotely, driven all by Helix authentication, access policy enforcement, what have you. There we go. I'm on the desktop of a completely virtual, remote connected computer as this employee. So if this is some kind of sensitive resource, the traditional method is that, like, when I use this protocol to get access to a virtual computer, my access to this computer won't end until I go in and actually end it myself. But what I've built here is that I can actually control this from the HR side, right? So if this is kind of like my HR page where I keep my users, think of it like a stand-in for like Active Directory or wherever you add like a new onboarded employee. I can go under this employee and say, hey, actually, Allison or Alice in this demo, we're going to fire her, right? So we want to remove her from the system. She's being terminated with no notice. Maybe she's in breach of policy or whatever. And you can see, yep, she's removed from Helix, right? So her session is in peril. So what you're going to see here is that without any input on my end, and the slowest part of this is waiting for the Helix database to actually catch up. I have the script running on 5-second intervals, and the Helix database doesn't update itself until 60 seconds. So that's a problem that we're going to have to fix in implementation. But eventually, what's going to happen, again, without my input, hopefully soon, is that we're actually going to fail the Helix session authentication. So the authentication that happens without Alice's direct input. That's going to trigger the kill command for the remote desktop here, hopefully in just a second. And then we will have that kind of automated redaction of access just based on, hey, this Helix attribute, this Helix privilege has been revoked. And there you can see that session was terminated without my input, right? So totally automated, just as a consequence of, hey, we've deleted this user from the back end. And then I want to show this on the Helix side too, that number goes from, well, I gotta log in because that's a problem that we need to fix, is the panel just doesn't have a long enough lifetime for me to actually do things. But that number went from 7 down to 6. So you can see it's actually issuing the kill command to remove Alice completely from the system. So very verbose, very long-winded. Of course, a customer demo is going to be like 2 minutes flat, but that's the Helix RDP pilot implementation /demo.